Are you interested in learning how to improve your financial situation? Then this video is for you. You'll learn a lot about your financial challenges and get some clarity about how to move things in the right direction. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot one card at a time. In today's video, we'll be using a 10-card spread to look at how to improve your financial situation. Assuming that my voice actually holds out, and I apologize in advance, I am getting over a respiratory infection. I will be using the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and there is a link below. The purpose of this reading was to figure out what I could do to improve my financial situation. And the question I asked was, how can I improve my financial situation? Here's the background. And I'll tell you up front that if you're expecting a juicy story about my finances, you're going to be disappointed. There is no exciting backstory about how I'm on the verge of bankruptcy or just won the lottery. And to be honest, I wouldn't disclose anything about my financial situation on YouTube, even if either of these were true. This reading came about because I am a big fan of Liz Dean, who has written many books on tarot. I recently purchased her book called The Ultimate Guide to Tarot Spreads and was flipping through it. I saw this spread and thought it would make a great YouTube video, since I think most of us welcome some insight into our financial situation. So that's why I chose it. This spread is from pages 52 and 53, and it answers the question, why am I faced with so many financial challenges? This spread requires you to pull 10 cards. You begin by finding the Wheel of Fortune in your deck and place it in the center, face up. Next, you're going to shuffle the cards, then look at the symbol on each of the 4 corners. These represent 4 of the authors of the Gospel in the New Testament of the Bible that told the story about the life of Jesus. You're going to lay down your first 4 cards in the following positions, and you can put them down face up. Here's what Liz Dean says about each position. Card number 1 goes on the top left near Matthew, the winged man. He represents Aquarius and the element of air. This position explains the reason for your situation. Card number 2 goes on the top right near John, the eagle. He represents Scorpio and the element of water. This position describes the spiritual lesson to be learned or why you're experiencing this. Card number 3 goes on the bottom left near Luke, the ox. He represents Taurus and the element of earth. This position describes the sacrifice you may need to make. And card number 4 goes on the bottom right near Mark, the lion. It represents Leo and the element of fire. This position describes your strengths and other things in your favor. Leave card number 5 face down until you look at the other 4 cards. This is the outcome card. We'll talk about the remaining 5 cards in the next step. So card number 1 is the reason for your situation, and I got the Emperor reversed. The Emperor is a card about taking charge in a very disciplined and factual manner. The Emperor had an enormous amount of responsibility, and he was not someone who was swayed by his emotions. Emperors were basically the boss of the kings and were in charge of all aspects of the kingdom, including collecting taxes and making sure that bills were paid. My first thought about this card was that the reason my finances aren't where I want them to be is because I take a more emotional, rather than a more calculated and disciplined, approach. I did not grow up with a lot of money, and I don't like having to do without. I'm not someone who spends money on luxuries, but I don't want to deny myself things that I really want, even if they are impulse purchases or not the best use of money. I'll give you an example. I have never been able to keep houseplants alive and stopped trying 30 years ago. A few weeks ago, I took my daughter shopping for her birthday because she wanted some new houseplants, and I thought they would make a great gift. We went to this amazing nursery. It was a rainy Saturday morning. We were the only ones there. The plants were beautiful, and my vow not to spend any money on myself disappeared as soon as I went inside. I ended up spending about $100 on 9 houseplants for myself and wasn't even sure where I was going to put them. But I got super excited, and there was a part of me who decided that houseplants would make our house more beautiful, and the universe was telling me that it was now time to overcome my brown thumb. This was not what the Emperor would have done. He would have reminded himself of his long history of murdering plants and just enjoyed watching his daughter shop. Now, I did decide that the plants were going to be my Mother's Day present, and I knew the expenditure was not going to put us in the poorhouse. But it was definitely an indication of somebody who makes emotional decisions around money. In summary, the reason for my financial situation is that I'm not very disciplined with my spending and tend to make emotional rather than fact-based decisions. In case you're interested, that was 3 weeks ago. I found homes for all the plants on sunny windowsills. They really did brighten up our house, and as of today, all of the plants are still alive. And I'm quite proud of myself. Card number 2 is about the spiritual lesson to be learned, why you're experiencing this. Specifically, why would I have chosen to do this random spread about improving my financial situation? And I got the Tower reversed. When the Tower is in an upright position, it is about unexpected upheavals in life that might be a natural disaster, accident, illness, or job loss. When the Tower is reversed, it can be a message that you need to be ready for these unexpected events. One thing that's interesting about the Tower card is that the reversed meaning is more positive than the upright meaning. Here we see two people with their arms in the air like they are surprised, but they also look like they are flying. It shows an opportunity for success as they're rising above a lot of the destruction. At first, I thought that the spiritual lesson was that I need to get prepared for leaner times. My husband and I are still several years away from retirement, but we were blindsided last summer when he was offered early retirement, which he ultimately chose not to take. We also both needed some major surgery in the last year, and certainly we're at the age when health plans can derail what we're planning to do. So it made sense that the spiritual lesson was that I needed to be prepared for the unexpected. But on reflection, I think that the real lesson was that I now have the opportunity to turn things around in terms of financial issues. It's like I can put my hands in the air and say, I surrender to what's happening here. It's time for me to take a more calculated, less emotional approach to spending and view my financial situation through the lens of an emperor. So in summary, the spiritual lesson is that there is a lot of hope here if I can figure out how to take a more disciplined approach to monitoring our money. Card 3 is a sacrifice that you may need to make, and I got the Page of Wands. When the Page of Wands appears in a reading, we have a childlike, creative, enthusiastic energy that wants to have their needs met immediately. Pages are the children of the deck, and the suit of wands, which links to the element of fire, is all about taking immediate action. Picture a wildfire that is burning out of control. It doesn't stop to consider what will happen to the homes or animal habitats in the way. It moves fast and keeps burning until something stops it. That is the energy of the Page of Wands. Then add to that the energy of a child, and you get somebody who wants instant gratification. Picture driving home from school with your 6-year-old and they tell you that they want to go to McDonald's right now instead of coming home to a healthy snack and time to do their math homework. Or an adult who knows that she can't keep plants alive, but decides to spend $100 on plants on a whim despite knowing that she has a brown thumb. That's our internal Page of Wands seeking instant gratification. There's actually a biological reason for this. Spending money can trigger the release of endorphins in our brain in much the same way as exercise or sex or eating a happy meal. It makes us happy. So I think that my sacrifice is to stop making purchases whose purpose is to bolster my mood and find a cheaper way to create those happy feelings. In summary, I can improve my financial situation by finding ways to boost my mood in a way that doesn't involve spending money. Card number 4 is about your strengths and other things in your favor, and I got the Page of Pentacles. The page is very focused on his pentacle, and I feel like one of my strengths is that when I choose to focus on something like my financial situation, I do it 100%. Pentacles is also a very practical suit, and I am somebody who makes practical decisions. And when I realize that I am overspending, I am able to stop. This happened a few years ago when I was getting weekly manicures, and much as I enjoyed them and got pleasure from having my nails look nice, it was no longer financially feasible, and I didn't have any problem giving it up. So there is a part of me that can be very practical if necessary. Pages are also students, and I am always doing research. So this is a big strength, as I can come up with lower cost alternatives to some of the things that we are currently spending money on without a big change in our lifestyle. And I can also come up with activities that will give me the endorphin boost that I'm looking for without using a credit card. In summary, I can improve my financial situation by choosing to focus on it. I should start by taking a good look at the money we have and where it goes. Then I can do research, look for cheaper alternatives, and or find ways to get pleasure without spending money. Card number 5 is the outcome card, and I pulled the 3 of Cups. The 3 of Cups is a celebratory card, so I view this as a great outcome. Here we have 3 well-dressed women who are clearly friends. They have enough free time to socialize, and they look very happy. They can afford wine, and there's also a lot of fruit and vegetables by their feet, so they have plenty of money for basics such as food. So this all looks very positive. Now it's time for the second part of the reading. We are going to lay down cards 6 through 10 to answer the question, if I follow the advice of the previous cards, what might change for the better? Let's start with card number 6. Let's answer the question, if I can follow the advice of the previous cards, what might change for the better for me around the reason for my situation? I chose the 6 of Pentacles. Certainly you can interpret this card differently whether you are the person giving money, accepting money, or looking on sadly with your hands out. I am choosing to be the person standing who has money. I feel like if I follow this advice, I will be in a good financial position where I have enough resources to live comfortably and to share my wealth in whatever ways I choose to, including helping people in need. I also have 2 children, and maybe this represents helping my children, although I hope that they're not going to be in the same desperate situation as the 2 poor individuals in this card. Let's talk about card number 7. And I'm going to answer the question, if I follow the advice of the previous cards, what spiritual lesson might change for the better about the reason for my situation? And I chose the 4 of Cups. I feel that I will be much better about choosing what to spend money on. I will learn the lesson that I don't need to spend money on everything that is presented to me, even a nice shiny cup that I think is being handed to me by God. The person on this card seems so focused on the 3 of Cups in the foreground that he's not even considering this new opportunity. He has a plan and he's sticking to it. If I can follow the advice of the previous cards, I will choose to spend money on 3 out of every 4 opportunities. That will give me 75% of what I want. Honestly, that is enough that I won't miss the shiny gift from God because I know that I've made good choices and I will have enough. Card number 8. If I can follow the advice of the previous cards, what might change for the better about the sacrifice that I need to make? My previous advice was from the Page of Wands, and the message was that I needed to find ways to boost my mood without spending money. The card I chose was the Knight of Wands. So this is the more mature, big brother of the Page of Wands, so I'm moving in the right direction. The Knight of Wands likes to take action and can be quite impulsive, but he is also more mature and more responsible than the Page. He's learned stuff. Also, he is very focused. When he wants to do something, he does what he needs to and goes for it. I feel like the message is that these sacrifices will get easier and become second nature as I see myself making progress. I will also find ways to boost my mood without spending money, perhaps by choosing activities that make me more physically active, like the Knight, rather than just passively shopping. Card number 9. If I can follow the advice of the previous cards, what might change for the better? This relates to strengths and other things in my favor, and the lesson was learning to make practical decisions and doing some research on cutting costs. I got the world reversed. Dang it, that was not my first choice. The first thing that's interesting about the World card is that it has the same 4 figures as the Wheel of Fortune card, which is what we started with. However, they've grown up a lot and are no longer hidden by clouds. So a lot of clarity has happened in the course of this reading. We've also moved from a situation where it was basically the wheel of fate to a person who has successfully navigated the ups and downs of life, which is a good sign. In the upright position, the World card is about achieving goals and completing the Fool's journey. The Fool learned his lessons, and we all live happily ever after until the next step of the journey. However, the world reversed indicates that I'm not going to get away that easily. There are going to be some challenges and obstacles ahead. It made me wonder if there won't be some kind of event beyond my control, like in the Wheel of Fortune, say that the stock market suddenly crashes or the value of houses plummets or something like that. So I need to remember the message of the Page of Pentacles. Keep being a student and continuing to learn about what's going on and making the best decisions that I can. Card number 10 is the final outcome. The card I got was the Judgment reversed, and it is over top of the Wheel of Fortune, which is a lot about the fact that finances go up and down. I have to admit that I struggled to find an intuitive meaning for this card that made sense to me. I thought it might mean that I was afraid to take a good look at what was going on in my finances and would rather just hope for the best, but that really didn't fit with the rest of the cards or how I run things in my real life. So I went through some of my books and found this interpretation from Exploring Tarot Using Radiant Rider-Waite by Avia Benefica on page 61, and it says, quote, "There is nothing wrong with being frugal, but you might be taking thrifty to the extreme," unquote. And that really resonated. I need to take a balanced approach and to make improvements, but I don't need to be perfect. I have to enjoy life too, perhaps by stopping and smelling the flowers that I purchased on a whim. I think another message is that I can do everything right and there are still things that I can't control. So that's the reading. One of the many things that I love about tarot is that it always provides messages that I need to hear. What started out as a random spread in a new book for just the purposes of a YouTube video turned into a great reading for myself that was beneficial and illuminating. I'll admit that I haven't done a lot of financial readings because I don't want to be in the position of giving stock market advice and wiping out someone's 401k. But I feel like this is a good alternative that can give clients a lot of insight into what changes they can make to help them meet their financial goals. And I'd be much more comfortable giving this type of reading. I hope that this video gave you some ideas that you can apply to your tarot practice, either for yourself or for others. And I'd love for you to leave a comment about what you thought of the spread or what you learned. Finally, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything. And I'll see you next time.